My name is Heun. I'm a consultant psychiatrist and professor of psychiatry, and today I tell you what you need to become a professor. There are a few things, and I think when you listen to this to the end, you will understand that you could become a professor or what it meant to become a professor and what skills you need. So first thing is that you need to finish your studies. So you can't become a professor if you haven't finished academic studies. So if you study biology, that's what you have to do first, and you have to finish your master's. Without it, it's nearly impossible. Then for other jobs, it's like a professor of psychiatry, you have to finish your psychiatric training. No way to become a professor of psychiatry if you are not a psychiatrist. So the other thing which you need is publications. So for publications, you need interest. Interest in answering question or finding answers to question nobody has been able to answer or nobody has ever tried to answer. So you need a little bit of a mind and interest in your subject, and especially for things which haven't been addressed. So one thing, for example, is many people have looked at how to prescribe medication and start medication and taper it up, but nobody has really assessed when to stop medication. That's something most psychiatrists know, but the assessment and research of that might make you a professor. So the other thing what you need, apart from this interest in publications, you need the help of a librarian. So it's always much easier if someone helps you to do the literature research, and if you write a systematic review, you don't need to be part of a research team. You can do it on your own. However, again, this needs resilience. So apart from that, if you have computer access, you can also try to do your own literary research and do it via the internet. The other thing what you need is possibly access to a research institute. So a job at university will always help, a job at a research institute will help, and that might take some time. Certainly, it's better to have a good exam in your studies, but that's not the most essential part. I think an inquisitive mind and openness and friendliness can get you at university in most cases. So if you have this job at a research institute that is half the way gone, you need a mentor. You can have this before and after. Be very careful about your mentor. It can't be just a consultant who is kind, friendly, and has a good chart. See what they have achieved. And if you want to go for a Nobel Prize, you better go as a mentor or find someone as a mentor who has a Nobel Prize themselves. The best predictor to get a Nobel Prize is certainly to work in a lab of a Nobel Prize winner. However, even if you don't find this, and you initially have no access to university, you can start writing papers, which my first paper took me more than a year. And I did a little bit of research on that, but I worked at the Max Planck Institute in Germany, which is a very nice and very helpful research institute. And they give me the time to look at patients and make specific investigations. And after you've done your papers, and you can learn by the reviews you get from the journals and from your mentor, then you can improve. For research, you need a grant in most cases, or a grant application. Some institutions need specific ethical approval if you work with animals or if you work with people. But this is something you easily learn from others if you work in a research-based institution. So one of the things you should do, write papers. And this is something you can learn, and you can ask your mentor. You can do it on your own, but it's certainly better if you do some networking. So, however, it's easier to get grants if you have already written something. That doesn't have to be great, but most people who give grants research institutions who give grants to people who are young. They want to see that this is not going into the bin and that these people have the skill and ability to publish. And I can say I got all my jobs at university simply for a paper I published in Lancet, and usually when I looked for a job, I just discussed this paper. Nobody asked me questions about what I knew. They knew I can do something, I can write something, and that was good enough. So if you then continue with papers and grants, usually if you then present your papers at conferences as posters or talks, then if you get your numbers together, then you will sooner or later become a professor, depending on the criteria in your country. Usually when you do this well, then you get better and you can do better publications, learn from your mentor, learn from others, and learn from the reviews you get from the publishers. And if you like your job then, and if you don't do it just for being a professor, but if you do it for your interest in research, you just potter on, and eventually, without doing great efforts, you will become a professor. I have been asked to become a professor in Birmingham, and people called me, and I was on holiday. I didn't even look at the date. I didn't look for nothing. And I was then contacted by the people and chased up. But that's different in different countries. You can be lucky. You might have to apply for jobs at university and go the usual path. I can't tell you about that because that depends from country to country. Germany asks you to have a habilitation, which is more or less the same as having 10 or 15 papers. So writing is the most important, and the usual slogan is publish or perish. Okay. Now you know how to become a professor, and if you've done so, just call me back and let me know in a couple of years. Thanks for your interest, and all the best, and good luck on your way. And just enjoy what you do. If you don't enjoy it, then don't do it. And if you enjoyed listening to this, just subscribe to our channel, and we keep you updated about mental health. Thank you.